I never thought saying one small word would turn my family against me. But the moment I said no, everything changed. Before I begin, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt used by the people who say they love you? Have you ever been expected to give up your peace just to keep others comfortable? If that sounds familiar, stay with me. And if stories like this speak to your heart, please like, subscribe, and take a deep breath. This is not a loud revenge story. It is quiet, and sometimes quiet pain lasts the longest. My name is Emily. I am the younger sister, not the baby of the family, but the one everyone leaned on. I am 31 years old now, but this story began when I was 26, back when I believed that saying yes was the same thing as being loved. I lived alone in a small apartment. I had a calm job at the library, and I liked my life slow and simple. I never asked for much, just a little space, a little rest, a little respect. That spring break was supposed to be mine. Growing up, my family always said we were close, and in many ways we shared holidays, birthdays, long phone calls, and Sunday dinners that stretched late into the night. My older sister Linda was the center of everything. She was loud in a way that filled rooms, confident in a way that made adults listen when she spoke. I followed behind her my whole life, not because I was weak, but because it was easier to let her lead. When she married young and had children, the whole family wrapped around her even tighter. Everyone praised her strength. Everyone worried about her stress. She has so much on her plate, my mother would say. She needs support. And somehow, without anyone ever asking me directly, that support became my role. I watched the kids when Linda needed a break. I watched them when she wanted to run errands. I watched them when she was tired, overwhelmed, or just needed time to herself. At first I didn't mind. I loved my niece and nephew. They were sweet, curious, full of life. But love can slowly turn into obligation when no one notices how much you are giving. I adjusted my schedule around hers, canceled plans, left work early. I told myself this was what family did. Meanwhile, my life stayed quiet. I didn't have children. I didn't have a partner. So people assumed I had time, endless time. No one asked if I was tired. No one wondered if I needed rest. They only knew that I was available. By the time spring break came around, I was already worn thin, not from one big thing, but from years of small sacrifices that piled up quietly. That break wasn't about travel or luxury. It was about breathing again. About waking up without someone needing something from me. I remember telling my sister about it weeks in advance. I smiled when I spoke, hoping she would hear how important it was. "I'm really looking forward to this," I said. "I need some time for myself." She nodded, she smiled back, and for a moment I believed she understood, but understanding is easy when it costs nothing. A couple of weeks before my break, my phone rang while I was making dinner. It was nothing special, just soup on the stove and the sound of rain tapping the window. When I saw my sister's name, I answered without thinking. I always did. Her voice was calm, almost casual, like she was asking about the weather. "Hey," she said, "I'm going to need you to watch the kids during spring break." I smiled at first, not because it was funny, but because I truly thought she had forgotten. "I can't," I said gently. "I told you I already have plans." There was a pause, not a long one, just enough to make my chest tighten. "Oh," she said. "Well, can you move them?" That was the moment I felt something shift inside me, a quiet resistance, a tired one. "I can't," I repeated. "I already paid for everything." Another pause followed, longer this time, heavier. "Well," she said slowly, "I already told the kids you would help." I stared at the wall in front of me. The soup boiled over, but I didn't move. I felt trapped, not by her words, but by the expectation behind them. That night, I lay awake in the dark. My mind replayed the call over and over. Each time, I thought of something I could have said differently. The next morning, my mother called. Her voice carried concern, not anger. "Your sister is overwhelmed," she said. "She really needs you right now." I tried to explain. I spoke slowly, choosing each word with care. "I need this break," I said. "I'm exhausted too." My mother sighed softly, the kind of sigh that carries disappointment. "You don't have kids," she replied. "You don't understand real tired." That sentence settled deep inside me, like it found a place it had been waiting for. After that, the messages started coming, not all at once, just enough to keep the pressure steady. "Guess I'll figure something out." "The kids were excited to spend time with you." I thought family helped each other. None of them were angry. That was the hardest part. They were quiet, disappointed, heavy with guilt. I carried that weight with me everywhere, at work, in bed, in the shower. I stood at the edge of giving in, of canceling everything, of telling myself my needs could wait again. But somewhere deep inside, a small voice spoke, soft but steady. If you give up now, you will always give up. And for the first time I listened. 3 days before my trip, I came home from work feeling tired but calm. I was folding laundry when I heard a knock at the door. I wasn't expecting anyone. That alone made my heart beat faster. When I opened it, my sister was standing there. The kids were with her. Each of them had a backpack on their shoulders. My stomach dropped. "We're running late," she said, already stepping inside. "You can take them to school tomorrow." For a moment I couldn't speak. The room felt smaller. The air felt thick. "I told you I can't," I said quietly. "My trip is in 3 days." She turned and looked at me like I'd spoken a foreign language, like she couldn't understand how I could still say no. "Don't start this," she said. "I really need you." I took a breath. My hands were shaking, but my voice stayed low. "I can't do this," I said. "I need time for myself." The kids stood silently by the door. They weren't crying. They weren't upset. They were just confused. My sister's face changed. The softness disappeared. "So this is who you are now?" she asked. "You're choosing a vacation over your own family?" That word again, family, it had always been used like a rope, something to pull me back into place. "I'm choosing myself," I said. The words surprised even me. For a moment no one moved, no one spoke. Then she sighed, a sharp, tired sound. "Fine," she said. "Don't expect me to forget this." She turned around and led the kids back out the door. There was no shouting, no slammed doors, just the soft click of the lock. I leaned against the wall and slid down to the floor. My chest ached. Tears came without warning. I wasn't crying because I felt guilty. I was crying because I had finally done something I was afraid to do. I wondered what this choice would cost me, and if I would be strong enough to pay it. I still went on my trip. That alone felt like an act of courage. On the morning I left, my phone was quiet. No messages, no calls. I turned it off anyway. The train ride was slow, the kind that gives you too much time to think. At first my thoughts were heavy. I replayed my sister's face, my mother's words, the way the kids looked at me in the doorway. But as the hours passed, something softened. When I reached the coast, the air smelled like salt and rain. The room I rented was small, just a bed, a window, and a chair by the wall. It was perfect. I woke up with out an alarm. I walked along the shore in the early morning when no one else was there. I let the water touch my feet and didn't rush away. For the first time in years, no one needed me. No one expected anything. That silence felt strange at first, almost uncomfortable. Then it felt healing. I ate when I was hungry. I slept when I was tired. I read until my eyes grew heavy and then rested without guilt. Each day, the tight feeling in my chest loosened a little more. When I came home, things were different, not loudly different, quietly. My phone had messages, but none were urgent. My sister had found someone else to watch the kids. She had paid for it. No one mentioned my trip, no one asked how it was. And that told me everything. The world had not fallen apart without me. The family had adjusted. That realization was painful. But it was also freeing. I stopped answering every call right away. I stopped rearranging my life to fit someone else's needs. Not out of anger, but out of respect for myself. The revenge, if you could call it that, was not loud. It was not cruel. It was simply this. I was no longer available by default. And in that quiet space, I finally began to feel like my life belonged to me. Time passed, not days, not weeks, years. The sharp edge of that moment slowly faded into something softer, something easier to carry. My relationship with my sister never went back to the way it was. But it did change. We spoke less, more carefully. There were no long talks about what happened, no apologies, no arguments either, just an unspoken understanding. I noticed something else, too. When I stopped overgiving, I stopped resenting. The heaviness in my chest didn't follow me anymore. I learned that peace does not come from being needed. It comes from being honest. One afternoon, much later, my sister and I sat at the same table. The kids were older then, louder, more independent. Out of nowhere, she looked at me and said, "I didn't think you'd really say no back then." Her voice wasn't angry. It wasn't accusing. It sounded surprised, maybe even thoughtful. I nodded slowly. "I didn't think I could either," I said. She looked down at her hands, then back up at me. "I had to figure things out after that," she said quietly. I didn't smile. I didn't feel proud. I just felt calm, because that was the lesson I carried with me. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stop explaining, stop proving, stop giving more than you have. Silent boundaries teach people what words never will, and if there is any kind of revenge in that, it is not about hurting someone else, it is about finally choosing yourself.